I added better text readability to the stream, so maybe you can see it here where my mouse cursor is. So I removed the resource assignments from the storage, so the ship actually shows an actual worth instead of the estimated worth with all the resources. So it's like more like it.
All right, are you gonna play test it so we can look at the ship?
Yes.
All right.
So that's a version I sent you, which you already have seen. So I actually intended, like you also suggested, to move them here. I just placed them there to like give myself an idea because I'm not really knowing where I want to go with the ship yet. So
I think I'm getting like less than or 30 frames per second on this.
Okay, wait.
Right now we're streaming, so we're streaming on Discord, and I see Drakeridge also joined us as well, and we're here with UnExcited, and he is working on his mothership.
Hello.
Hello.
So probably best to start with moving the guns.
So you're gonna put the deck cannons on the wings, like I was thinking.
Yes, I like the suggestion, but also it was like, as I said, here the placement here was just like to give myself an idea where to go potentially. Probably should add corridors here.
You know, you could even layer stack it even more. So you could put 2 cannons on each wing. So one's facing, you see how your back cannons are facing sideways? You can put a back cannon on the bottom of the wing facing sideways, and then a cannon facing forward on the upper tip of the wing.
Yeah, or even doing this, right? Could they overlap then? Okay, so I thought here
They just
and
need
here,
to be they just need to be almost, I think it's like 2 or 3 squares away from each other, but they can stack.
well, as you can see between the back and the upper ones, they overlap a little bit. But if the turret turns up forward, so the back turn, if it turns forward, it's still enough space to shoot beside the middle one. So the middle one is a little bit inward, or okay, currently it would collide, but like the back one and the okay, let me remove the middle ones because they are not real. So they are spaced enough, but they overlap. So the back ones overlap a bit with the one on the front, right? You can see that. If you go here, they overlap. Oh, they don't overlap. Okay.
They don't actually run into each other because the ones that you put in there just as placeholders, when I was testing it and firing, one of the shots when you're aiming down the middle doesn't go through, so it's just shooting only one, and the other shot's just disappearing.
They occasionally go through, yeah.
Occasionally, but most of the time, not always.
Yes. So like when you were building on a YouTube video on mine, so to give the audience perspective, so this one, the reactor was previously here where the storage now is, so I moved the storage
in the middle, yeah, to help with distributing power.
Well, I also moved the beacon one down, and the radar was previously here, so I moved that one down. Mainly, I moved it here to fix the issue that when it was here, located on the right, it was like a logistical nightmare because I had to move from all the right to all the left to transfer the energy. And now in the middle, it's also better designed to send stuff up. Right, and I was thinking this one was before were one lane. I moved this part over one because I don't need highways. I don't need highways on the side, but I need highways. I need highways in the middle. And so yeah, I added some spacers because like even if they just move sidewards on the walkways, they have the malus. So walking across is 75%, and that also means if they move across and want to move up, they move slower. That's like what I try to fix here.
I see that. So you have actual corridors for each one of the doors instead of them, so they actually have a little bit more speed going in and out of them.
Yes, you can see this here. Like I try to cluster the doors so I have longer stretches of walkway, and the corridor is 100% move speed, and the walkway in the right direction is 200%. So it's like, but across is 75%. So if they want to go out and over, and there's a walkway, they actually move slower than on corridor. On corridor they move faster than across a walkway. So gaining 25%. So if there was a walkway, they would move across with 75%. Now they move normal speed, 100%. So that's like minor improvement, I would say. I also followed your suggestion with adding the doors on the edges or on the corners.
It makes it easier for them to come in and out, in and out.
Yeah, and also like if they let's say they come from above and they want to go to the below, it's easier for them now because they can go here, go down, grab something, go down, go out here. And if you have like 4 doors, they move the first door out, which is optimal or suboptimal, I would say. And now they can like come from here, move in, grab something, go down, walk here, go here, by example. So it's like, I mean, we have to see how it functions, but I also already ran some simulations, so I kind of have an understanding that it works like intended.
And I'm sorry, anybody that's listening, and there's some breakage. UnExcited is in the other part of the world, Europe, and we're in the US, and so I know the recording is only probably at 30 frames per second, and you are breaking up sometimes for the audio.
Yes, and also I cannot increase the frames per second for the stream on Discord because I don't have Discord. Was it called Nitro or something? So the paid service.
Oh, okay, understood.
Okay, so if someone wondering why the beacon doesn't have a door on outside, it's intentional, so the crew can be assigned directly to it and doesn't wander around the ship. So I intentionally placed those 2 crew quarters with doors facing inward, and they will be assigned to these thingies, and power will come from the outside. So they never walk around the ship, because why should they?
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm a little bit so like those things, the resource collectors could be anywhere in the ship, so I'm not really happy that they're there, but I don't know. I
You
don't
could
have an
probably move
idea.
them around after you start placing your cannons in.
Yeah. Okay, and another thing I changed. So the ship used to have large thrusters forward twice, and I removed them with just the huge thrusters facing forwards on the back. So actually reduced a weak point. And they have the same power essentially as the 4 engines beforehand.
It makes sense. No, yeah, you changed it to bigger engines, and also they're far more protected now.
Exactly, that was essentially the point. So like, just for anyone who doesn't know, huge thruster has double the power of a large thruster. So replacing 4 large thrusters with 2 huge thrusters essentially is the same power output. And the large thrusters were placed on the engine rooms beforehand, so I lack a bit of power, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because I reduce the serious weak point, which is more important than speed.
The only difference about huge thrusters to large thrusters is the huge thrusters have a longer uptake to get their full power and
Yes.
speed. Where heavy thruster, the large thrusters, they have a faster uptick. They have less power, yes, but they have a faster uptick. So if you're having a ship that wants to maneuver fast in quick bursts, heavy thrusters are faster in the beginning, but they don't have a higher top speed. Where huge thrusters have a much higher top speed.
I mean, it's a trade-off.
It's a
either way.
trade-off. I honestly, for big ships, huge thrusters are definitely the way to go. For smaller ships, though, large thrusters are probably better for maneuvering.
Yeah, and I mean, turning is still okay. I mean, if you look at turning, those two are rarely executed. Like mostly, I mean, the good thing about this game is it works kind of like ships, like real ships. And I don't know if you know anything about real ships, but if you want to turn and modern ships usually have two screws.
Uh-huh.
So one screw gives speed forward and one backward, so they can turn easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you can turn a ship with two screws essentially without using the rudder.
Hmm.
And this game works similar. So sometimes it activates engines, like you want to maneuver to the left or something, and all of a sudden the back engines activate, which is like counterintuitive, but makes sense in this.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yes, but it's still a bit counterintuitive because, like, if you think in a land-based vehicles, doesn't make sense to go forward when you want to go to. Well, it essentially does, but yeah, I don't know. So, where we want to go? One issue is like going through here. So I was thinking to do the wings autark. So
What you probably could do, so your engine room is probably the only way that engine room at the top is your only access point into it. So you probably want to
also,
move that bunker.
well, the
And
problem
then
is that going through rooms is half speed,
this is true, unless you
and you couldn't just place an airlock hatch so they can get in and out and make this kind of like.
you're making it segregate so it's its own, so it hatches in and out. Yeah, you could do that too, but then you have to have its own power supplies in there as well, if you're going to
Sure,
put
but
mammal factories.
I mean, we could test it if small reactors suffice. If I place it right and it goes up, it only destroys a part of the wing and doesn't really affect the rest of the ship.
This is true, but it also makes it heavy targets. So when you put small reactors in, the AI always tries to target those small reactors if they're close enough to the surface.
We have to test it, I guess, because like essentially this line is the most valuable target. And like from all my playtests, the AI always tries to go down this road no matter what.
Well, that's true. Well, I'm talking about flanking. So, like, if a ship is flanking you on the side, and you have a reactor or a small reactor on the side closer to the surface, the AI will try to target the small
I mean,
reactor.
how about we test it? Like, I will build it up like I just mentioned, and then I add some ships which can flag from the side, and we just test it out.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
I mean, you're probably right, but I mean, in reality, it doesn't really happen that often.
It won't happen that often for flanking. If you have that many cannons on your ship, chances are you're gonna blow them up before they get that close.
Mm,
Depending on what you're fighting, smaller ships compared to bigger ships.
yeah, it always depends on your enemies, in a sense. Yeah, I also don't know what I want to do with the upper section. Um, for people who don't know. So on this right factory now, the ammo is facing up. And if I turn it, it's facing down. And if I push this button, then it faces up again. So you can mirror this, which I actually didn't know. I saw some like built-in chips with this design, and I was like, how did they do that? I first thought it was like auto adjusting, like if you place it, it just changes the storage spaces, but it didn't, and I was like, how they do it?
You know, you just taught me something new. So you can actually mirror and have the
Yes.
ammo facing the top.
If you mirror right, you can change the layout, and then you can do this.
Huh.
You didn't know about changing what area you can mirror from?
Well, pushing the ammo, because I wanted the ammo next to the actual cannon. I didn't know you could rotate the. I mean, I know you could mirror, but reverse mirror up and down. I know you can mirror the left and right, but the up and down mirror part to change the rotation of the ammo, or is the ammo facing the right way? Because both ammos are on top, right?
Those
And they're
ammo
not-
factories are below the cannon, and then they're just facing sideways.
No. I'm talking about the ammo. So you see the sulfur is at the bottom, but the ammo cache is at the top.
So
Oh,
if I
okay.
Does that make
show
sense?
this.
So the ammo's right
Yeah.
next
You
to
just
it. So he mirrored it. So he reversed it. That's the only way to reverse it is
So
with that mirror button.
if I would not press the button and do this, then you have the cipher here. The cipher is here up because I just turned it around. And if I pick it up again and I press this and place it again, then the abo is up.
Yeah.
Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it.
I see it and I understand because I was trying to do exactly what you were doing and you just did it. So basically, if you're looking at his screen, I know it might be hard to see as we're recording this, but both ammo caches are at the top of the factory. So the ammo's right next to it. So they literally walk one square, grab ammo, and put one square back in. If he didn't do the mirror, the sulfur would be up on the top on the right one, and the ammo would be on the bottom one. So they have to walk two squares to grab the ammo to go load it in. I actually need to change this on my ships.
And also they have to, if you put the surface storage just below it, they have to move two spaces over, like they walk over the produced ammo slot and put it in
And
the
they
cipher.
slow everybody down. Exactly.
They slow each other down.
Yep.
So now you just have one person filling up the cipher and one person picking up the ammo.
It's a small thing. People might not think it's a big deal, but it's a big deal
Yes.
with what you just showed me. I can see huge benefits of it.
It makes things much faster.
Yes, it does. Because when guys are stacked on top of each other and trying to walk across each other, they slow down significantly, a huge amount.
That's probably a bad idea. I wanted to place a reactor, so that's okay. Let's refocus this. Because the upside is, for people who don't know, so the cannon has 20,000 hit points, which is a good tank for anything. So, like, I don't know. So to mention it, so I used not to have this armor, and before I added it, people could shoot through this, which they actually did. So sometimes NPCs flanked around, shot through one layer of armor. I mean, storage bay doesn't really have hit points. Okay, 60,000 it says, but it can shoot through it even if it still exists, and then hit the reactor direct on. So like, it was like instant death.
And also deck cannons penetrate past. So a deck cannon can actually penetrate and hit things behind.
Yes. So they don't have to destroy the storage bay, just the armor, and then it's directly into the reactor.
Correct.
And but they never try to flank like through the deck cannon, because the deck cannon with a layer of armor is actually much more resistance than this part. So it's technically this one is still a weak point, but they like shots coming from here. essentially never did anything. So and they didn't even try because like it's like impossible.
It's all but
played.
it's the AI is always trying to find the weakest point and aim toward whatever the weakest is as best they can.
So the green line is still weak point. Right. It's alright. I mean, I wouldn't try to flank this part because like if a player is playing it, I mean you could still
You just rotate your
direct
ship.
the cannons directly.
And the cannons can
like,
actually shoot at you too, because they're side
Yes.
facing.
I mean they can face any direction.
Can they do a full 360 behind themselves?
Yes.
Oh,
There's 360. As far as I know.
I think they
But
have a I think they have a
these ones
limited turn rate.
I mean maybe it says it. 270 degrees.
Yeah,
So,
270. They can't do a full 360.
But they're back to back. So I mean
Yeah,
even if they
you
could
cover
shoot
most.
behind them.
Yeah. And they don't even need to shoot behind themselves because they're facing back to back, so they don't need to fire that arc. 270 should be more than enough.
It's like they would. I mean, that's what I wanted to say. Like if the behind was a weak point, they cover it because they overlap each other. So you never actually go in a blind spot of the cannon. And even if you did, those one couldn't shoot behind. So maybe the deck cannons. Maybe I should switch those.
Just switch them to sideways, and then you have the ability to shoot behind as well, which is what I was thinking. So actually, I was thinking put it sideways, and you have the extra layer of armor in the back. And I know you were trying to put it so the factory's there, so put that one all the way at the bottom.
Still cannot do that. So I mean, that's the other good thing about the mirroring part. I can do this. So now it's like, but I can also do this. And now I have a sulfur on the outside and do this. And now the sulfur is in the inside and do this again. And the sulfur is back on the outside. So I can place the sulfur storage here and the sulfur storage here. And I still have the effectivity I want.
Yeah, you have sulfur storage on both sides, and then they literally, yeah, that makes perfect. But I was thinking putting the cannon more down below, and then you can have another deck of cannon facing vertical instead of horizontal. And if you face the deck cannon, so you have two cannons in each wing. So one, so you move that one even more down, closer to the engine,
Or
and then
up.
put another cannon or up. But if you wanted to cover the back, you would probably want it more down. So the other ones are these ones are the four cannons facing that can shoot behind you, and the other cannons can cover everything in the front and to the sides. Because if you face that one forward vertically, then you see you can have issues, and you have the problem with shooting into each other. I don't think they can be that close to each other.
They shouldn't be.
Well, don't they also stun crew within 6 meters?
Yes, when they're firing, they stun crew, correct.
Technically, yeah. Maybe like this.
Yes, that was meaning right there. And then you see how you have a layer of armor in the back? You don't really need that layer in the armor in the back. You can just reinforce in the front and then put the factories just behind it. And or move everything out a square forward.
Already did this here. Like here I removed the armor.
Or however you want to do it.
I mean, it's more space.
Yep, and it's also less weight and your ship can go faster.
Well, I mean, essentially I built out the wings with corridors to like, I mean, I told that to you before, but I didn't tell the audience. So I built out the wings with corridors just because I realized that I limit myself. Like I see the outside armor as barriers, which is like if you want to freely build out your ship, is not really helpful. That's why I didn't realize that was your suggestion to drop them one down.
Yeah, I moved everything down. Just to enable the walkways. Walkways, and even when we had the session the other day with Drakeridge when he was building out his huge long, and I know that one I don't have recorded, but yeah, walkways increase with 200% speed walking. when carrying energy and everything else, he makes a huge deal.
Or even just move around. I mean, carrying personnel.
Yeah.
I don't want this one. I mean, I can't place it this way. Because I need space. Well, I could, but the problem is, okay, maybe. Okay. I mean, I could. No, that would work. So, okay, you're right. You're not. Oops, wrong. No, that's right. Okay, so sulfur up, sulfur to the side. So you could walk up here, and then a door here. So essentially, I place these two doors so they directly can put the armor here, but But I also put one here because sometimes it happens that you have people in the above them, and otherwise they had to walk through the cannon, get the armor from here, and put it back. So they can directly pass through the factories and put their ammo where it belongs. So.
Which is key to making them fire constantly. So yeah.
And also it's just a minor detail, and you would say, it doesn't do much, but I mean, every millisecond
it's a huge yes. I 100% agree with that. Huge difference. Every single step, every single square, it's a difference between winning and losing. Sometimes, depending on what fight you're in.
I mean, sometimes it's just a nudge. Like you have just a nudge difference between two designs, especially. You were showcasing this very good. So, like for the audience, if you change ships, like evolve your own design, even minor changes, changing to a like temporary version, and then battle them against each other. Sometimes a minor change, just a nudge, just a hair of change can make all the difference you needed. That doesn't work. Control Z, yes. Okay. That's too small. I don't know. Like many people are not aware, but like deck cannons actually fire a lot of ammo, so the sulfur storage need to be sufficient.
You'll definitely need enough sulfur to be able to fire constantly.
I mean, especially I don't know how it is in like level 15 or something areas, but I would assume the battles get more prolonged, and the more prolonged they get, the more you have to fire.
Pretty much.
That is a true statement, correct. The bigger the ships, the longer it takes to get through them all.
Like I was telling Tiny, the one that I have trouble with right now is the Balal. That thing is mean. Takes forever to kill it.
Okay, so let me place this here and put a door here. Here. You don't need one here. Technically, you don't need one there. So they essentially, if they crew this, they can go here down, pick up sulfur. Well, technically, they probably go down here. That's the other issue. Let's hope they don't walk across this and choose a faster path. Which is sometimes an issue. Sometimes, I don't know, the crew is pretty stupid. Like, they don't pick the best pathway many times. Like they prefer going slowly through rooms, which is 50%, instead of walking a corridor, which is normal 100%. And sometimes I'm like, okay, why? Okay, but so you said place another big cannon up here or what?
Yeah.
What was the idea?
Well, you could put another deck cannon there, or you can put it in the second wing, your upper wing. But that's up to you. First, you want to see how it actually performs, right?
I mean, we could do that. Pit it against it, the other H version. So make it so. Ah, okay, it doesn't have energy right now. Wait, before we can put it. I mean, I want to try it with a small reactor if it holds up the need.
A small reactor for just 2 small factories is more than enough. You probably should add even more things in here for your small reactor, because it only requires like 2 little energy cells to fill up the whole factory.
Huh.
So yeah, that's overkill for just those 2 small factories if you only have 2.
Right, the cannon doesn't need power. Totally forgot about it. Well, I have an idea.
That makes sense. But then you need crew in there as well to manage all
Well,
that.
I need crew anyways because the cannon needs crew. I just want to get it to a state now where
So the empty space, you could actually put the single bunkers, the 2-man bunkers behind it, and dedicate it to the cannon, and then they can be dedicated to the cannon, or they can be dedicated to the factories to load ammo.
right, but I didn't want to obscure this one because I hope they get walks the sulfur here
Oh, that's
instead of
true.
going through. Which what I wanted to test. So let's get it to a state where it's like functional, and then test the performance of this part against the previous version. And so I just place those. They're just temporary for the test.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, whoops, wrong one. I don't know if you know this, but you can, normally it's this way, and if you put show all resource types, you see everything, even stuff you don't have, which
Yes,
is helpful for this planning area.
I did know about that. But that's helpful for everybody else that's watching to be able to
Yes.
see all resources if you're trying to put in resources you don't have.
And also, I mean, you can turn it off after you do the planning, so you have perfect overview.
I think I always have mine on actually to show all resources.
I used to switch it when I needed it, but I mean, it takes time, so I just keep it this way. And you can change like how many stuff is displayed as this part. You can change the rows, I think, which I have here. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but I changed it to 2 rows. You can change it in the settings somewhere that it displays 2 rows instead of 1.
That can definitely be it can be helpful while building. I can see it being a problem if you're trying to build in the middle or trying to see the whole screen while doing combat or other things.
I mean,
Most people don't build during combat. I'm just unnatural like that, so I don't pause the game.
Well, and you can't let's play, but many people.
Many people will pause the game while building.
I
Absolutely.
even did it accidentally when we played multiplayer. I accidentally pushed space.
Uh-huh.
But in the game I play with my buddy, we rarely pause, like just sometimes. But that's why the preview window is important, because if you learn when it focuses on the targeted chip, you can use it to target subsystems. So you don't need to press pause.
Oh.
Another thing, right?
So you're saying when you're targeting a ship, it actually shows what their subset of parts are on them?
Yes, in the preview window, if it shows so I didn't really figure out when it displays the other ship, so I have to experiment it a bit more. But you can target subsystems on the preview of the other ship.
I would love to see that. Did you know about that, Drakage?
I did not, but that is fascinating.
I would love to see that. You showcase it to us. I would love to see being able to target the enemy ship
Yeah,
subset
we
parts,
can
if
try it
if
in a
it's
test, I
possible.
guess. Yeah, sure. One moment. Let me assign crew. Oops. They should deliver the energy to the factories, right?
You don't have to do well. I would sign them directly to the factories.
Okay. I mean, a little bit redundancy. Well, they should do that.
Yeah, and then they also they're in charge of supplying too.
Okay, so we could use this to showcase the design. Let me save this. I mean, I could do play as.
And play as another player and then spawn in the other ship.
Yeah. Oops. Okay, so if I do this, okay, now I see my ship, and somewhere I don't really. Now I can see the other ship. So if I zoom on this one, I see mine. If I zoom on mine, I see this one, and I can target subsystems.
How are you targeting the subsystems? I'm sorry, I looked
Yes,
away there for a second. So you're doing it from the
yeah,
minimap, or you're doing it from where?
from the minimap. That's a preview of the enemy. So if I zoom on the enemy, I see my selected ship, and if I zoom on myself, I see the enemy, the
So you're
targeted enemy.
you're targeting it from the minimap.
And yes, on a preview, you can target subsystems, so you don't need to press pause. Because this one isn't moving. It's always static. Right? So
Okay.
it's not like it's always centered.
We have a bunch more people joining us here because they just joined us in Discord. They may or may not stay in here or not.
I think he had a low quality mic or something, man. I don't know what was happening there.
We are recording, by the way, as well as we're watching. UnExcited is showing us here from Europe, and he doesn't have the paid for version of Discord, so that's why it's limited to this 30 or whatever how many frames per second we're looking at. But right now we're just recording and watching him test out his new design with multiple different cannons on it.
Well, they don't reload pretty well.
Well, they don't have any more sulfur in there.
Well, that's wait. I didn't do this, I guess. I mean, that was okay, I guess. I mean, it does a lot of more damage, but they work well, I guess. So I probably could. Oh, they do it, right? You've seen it.
I see them.
Put,
Yeah, they're coming in from
you
the back.
pick up sulfur and use the back way, which is exactly what I wanted.
You probably should add at least a fire extinguisher on that one empty space in the back.
Yes, yeah. Like, yeah, it's a good idea. Because they're already here, so the way to the fire extinguisher wouldn't be far. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start with the fire extinguisher, because before I forget. That's actually a pretty good idea. So it's like, because also if someone is carrying sulfur, fire extinguishers are usually always at 10 and everything else at 9. So if they drop the sulfur, pick up the fire extinguisher and do the job. Okay, so there was just 2 showcases. But I don't think I think having them so close is a pretty good idea actually. I like having dedicated crew somewhere. I mean, the reactor's right here, so they can walk where they need to go.
Mm-hmm.
So actually don't need this door. Oh, so place one here maybe. Okay, now I have a door again, but I could put it here. But I mean, it's fine if like in the previous design we had like the all the crew go to the reactor anyway, so that's fine, I guess.
I'm thinking you want to move it over one because if you're going to have all the empty space, is it going to get power? So move your bunker over to one to the right, another bunker over one to the right, and then leave that door there so that you can still supply power to the upper part of the wing.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to walk through your storage of the current setup if you have anything placed in the upper that needs power.
And you could. I mean, they should move from above to the shield anyway. So this way. Ah, wait.
That one needs a door. You need to fade. Yeah, there you go. Probably be better to face the other one into the reactor. Face it into the reactor because that's the first thing they're going to do is grab power.
Yeah.
And supply. Yeah, there you go. And now you can have power for whatever is in the upper part of the wing. And then if you face 2 factories and a cannon facing forward, and then stagger it a little bit to the left, then you can have a whole nother cannon right there in the wing.
Wait.
More to the left, so that the other one can fire through. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, wait.
And then technically, if you move it closer to the storage, then they get close enough to the sulfur.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay. Great, and we have space for another one. And we don't need
I
this.
was thinking you probably should put a door where the fire extinguisher is, because otherwise they still have to walk through that entire storage system to get to your supply energy to.
This way?
No. You remove the fire extinguisher completely and add a door to the storage so that they can walk in and supply energy to your factories, or you have to move everything one more tile to the right.
Yes. Good idea.
And or you move everything one more tile to the right.
Yeah, that's probably better. crew. So that's 6, right? So 4. This one needs 4, right? Yeah, 4. So 2. So 6. Probably a good idea to add another shield. The problem is I don't have enough shields. Like in the front part, it's perfect, or it's okay-ish, but like kind of after I built the extension, so for the audience who doesn't know it, like the upper engine rooms were like the lower part of the front section. The front section used to be a ship, and the rest is attached to or added to it. It's the extension. So like I don't know, I did a pretty good job with the shields upwards, but the lower I got, I kind of forgot to scale the shields with it. Which, I mean, it's only an issue if you...
You're probably
maybe
not
like,
gonna be targeting the sides unless you get sideswiped. But
I mean,
yeah, it makes sense.
It happens occasionally. Also, sometimes you have straggler shots coming through on the front part. And I mean, some protection. I mean, it's small sheets, they're cheap, and I mean, they're good. They do a pretty good job for their price.
Here's my concern about adding 2 more extra shields there.
Wait.
Is there you're gonna have more people trying to run around to power those shields, and less people trying to supply factories and
guns,
guns, exactly. And because shields are constantly draining, you're gonna have people running around trying to supply those shields with your 1 chip power supply from the reactors.
But I like the shield here.
Yeah, the 1
because-
shield there works good because it's right next to it, so it's not gonna take anybody much time to walk in and out to give that one.
Yeah.
But if you had shields up there, then you're gonna dedicate power and crew to be walking all the way through all of your spiderweb of stuff just to go power those shields.
But I need more crew. I mean, I could add you here. So that's a crew for the cannon.
Needs 4. You can add 1 more to the side. So put a bunker right above that bunker and flip the other bunker around. No, so flip the other 2 bunker into the storage, and the other bunker can still face upward right next to it, and because there's a door right there that you can put for the cannon. Yeah, and then the other one can go right. It can face either or. Yeah, and then goes right into the cannon. And then they're just dedicated crew members for the cannon.
Yeah, and this one can be dedicated for the factory. So what to do with the space here? Probably should do this open space again. Maybe add some armor here. Or add some energy weapons. We need an airlock here.
Actually, looking at the placement of that back cannon, that backer cannon with the upper cannon, they may run into each other if they're not firing straight. Because if you're aiming straight down the middle with the green line, it may not. It may run into each other, especially with the other cannon in the front of that one. So it may block the shots.
Yeah.
You may just leave that cannon in the back. I still think it's gonna block because it's gonna aim toward the green line.
I don't need the upper cannon. I mean, like 6 cannon is plenty. Like I don't need 8. 8 is pretty rough.
Some of the non-player character ships have 8 cannons or more.
Sure, but I mean, like, kind of lacking some other stuff. I don't know. It's like I don't really know what to do with the ship. Like,
It just depends on how you want to play. It's all up to you and the
yeah,
fun and excitement that you have.
I haven't decided what I want to do with the ship.
I mean, you could put a whole bunch of disruptors, you could put lasers, you could put missiles, you could put EMP missiles, you could put nukes, you could put railguns on the side.
I like railguns.
Right? Right there. Put 2 sets of railguns right there on the side. The small little railguns. Pew pew pew.
I turned my crew carrier into a railgun frigate.
Really? That would be. That's a
put
neat design to BBC, Drakeage.
I'll add it to the Discord here in a bit. I'm in a battle right now.
Let's do that. Railgun.
Oh, you're taking away the cannons. You're just putting in straight railguns.
Yeah, let's try that. I mean, technically, you could choose through that, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't need connections. It just needs connections to one side, right?
You just need connection to one side.
Okay, let's do that.
You're. Oh, yeah, you did change it. You did change it. Okay.
I mean, it's a bit small, right?
It's okay if it's
48%.
small. You have your cannons. Your cannons are the ones that take away everything else, and your railguns are just to penetrate.
And to annoy. I mean, it's good. Sometimes I fight against like 3 ships from above, so if some flank here, they're directly in the line of the ray gun. Okay, let's do this. Probably good to have a buffer storage for the ammo, so it can be directly transferred into it, and then put the factories next to it.
Oh, I'm over here talking when I'm muted. Move the storage over to the right and put the ammo factory right next to it and face the ammo factory facing down. And so you have the ammo on the left and so far on the right and put the storage more to the right.
Yeah, that was like ammo buffer storage.
So yeah, that one right there next to the railgun.
Well, technically I could do this, and then...
Oh, it doesn't need that much ammo. It's a railgun.
Oh, it does need that much ammo.
It only needs one factory.
Nope.
You're gonna be firing that much ammo out of a railgun?
Trust me,
For a fight?
ray guns are pretty extensive. It has 46 capacity, okay, but doesn't it compress 10?
By the time each shot goes off, one factory normally is enough to support one railgun. Without the extra 50% from a second factory.
25%.
Or 25%.
You don't need an extra.
You
factory.
don't need 2 factories unless you're
use
gonna have more.
railguns extensively.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's over-engineered.
Now for cannons, it definitely takes a lot, but for a railgun, one factory is normally enough to support one railgun through a
Well, I mean,
pretty extensive fight, depending how long the fight's gonna last.
you could, which like depends. Okay, it depends on your play style. So if you keep a deck cannon on normal mode, which is high volley damage because it shoots both at the same time, but you can change the firing mode to alternate, which reduces the volley damage, of course, because just one shot, one shot, one
But
shot,
it's
one shot instead of two
double the
at once.
stunning to your crew because it stuns for both for each shot. But yeah, I've seen ships do that.
I usually use alternating fire with at least half of my heavy laser blasters because especially with blasters, it's like from my experience more effective in many cases if you have constant outgoing fire instead of having volley salves. Because the problem is you cannot group weapons. Like you cannot say, okay, you have 6 guns, and they say the left 3 ones are one group and the right 3 ones are a group. Like, and they alternate between each other. They're always like kind of, if they start firing at the same time, they always fire at the same time, which is an issue.
Well, if you do, I see what you're saying, but you could alternate it if you macro it out. So if you did control 1 for a group of weapons, control 2 for a group of weapons, and only fire
Sure,
at target.
but not everyone wants to micromanage, right? And
This is true.
You can micromanage easier with one ship. If you have like multiple ships, it's harder to micromanage individual guns.
That's true.
Well, it's not impossible, but I mean it's stressful. Okay, let's. Oh, perfect. So that should be enough sulfur storage.
For a railgun, yeah, it's more than enough.
Okay, we need a reactor. Probably need a medium one, right?
A medium reactor?
Or
It still
small one enough.
it still only takes 1 power for the size of that railgun.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you didn't want to put a reactor right next to the railgun, you could just put a capacitor there and
run power to
well,
it.
I cannot put a capacitor to it because
Well, if you map it out so that someone can run to it, so you actually could go back down. So if you scroll down here,
I could passageway here.
You could put a
right,
passageway through there, and then somebody, because it is fastened. You have enough walkways in the back to have somebody run a 3 energy to a capacitor. The
but they have
capacitor
to
can
go
power.
through the engines. At the moment you connect the engines, people will supply the engines. So it's like, I really hate that. Like the game should be intelligent enough to realize if an engine is connected to an engine room, don't deliver energy directly to it, even if there is a door, which they don't. If you put a door here, someone will run to this engine. They will supply the engine room and any accessible engine, which is, I don't know. It's like,
Depending if you dedicate all your crew, and or turn all your crew to not dedicate toward large thrusters. So if you turn it
yes.
off, they won't do that. But then you have to
It's
manage the entire role,
Yes.
and or dedicate every single crew member to an actual specific job.
Well, if you don't do that, they will just run to thrusters. So, I mean, and I don't like role management. I don't specifically like it because you have no disable all button, and you always have to like create a disable all role and then move fork your stuff from it. Otherwise, you have to click like 5,000 buttons. So,
Or you could
I
just
don't know.
create a whole bunch of roles on a role map template ship and just copy it out and paste it into another ship.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because once you build out all the roles once, and you have them all defined to each their own job,
That's probably just a me issue.
then just copy all the roles and paste all the roles into another ship.
So now we have to create
I am gonna have to get off here soon.
Okay.
So, but you keep building, and if I can jump back in, I'll jump back in.
So that's okay, right?
Yep, that will work. But you probably need shields for it as well, because all it takes is a stray railgun shot right down there to take out your railgun.
Like this.
Yeah, at least one.
I mean, technically, now I have use for this space, I guess.
Just depends how much you want to protect your railgun.
I mean, I don't want it to die instantly, so...
I think 2 shields facing up right there in the bottom portion, so it's all managed in one, would be pretty decent.
Like this?
Yep.
Is that enough?
You have lots of cannons. You're not just focused on just railguns.
Yeah, that's true. Doesn't work so well.
Alright, I'm gonna jump off here. You guys have fun, and if you're still here, I'll catch you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.